Hello YouTube! Brad and Travis here with Home Slice Disc Golf. Today, we will be taking a look at the Discmania MD3 and the Latitude 64 anchor.
Have fun, enjoy.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
All right, so the MD3 is a little bit domey. The anchor it's pretty flat. The rims on them, you can see here the shape of it, and you can also see this pretty big bead on the anchor. They're both pretty comfortable in the hand. All right, so the anchor, for having such a big bead, it was actually pretty comfortable in the hand. It was pretty stable. It would fly pretty straight, and then it would dump really hard at the end. If you put it on an ante, it's not going to hold it for that long. It'll come out of it. If you release it flat, it'll fly pretty straight and then dump pretty hard. And a hyzer, it'll just hyzer out the whole way. You might be able to get some skips out of it. It's a pretty good overstable disc. It's not like Justice overstable or anything like that, but I'd say it's probably like as overstable as like a Buzz OS, something like that. All right, the MD3, it was very comfortable in the hand. It was a pretty straight disc, not quite as overstable as I thought it was going to be. There was definitely a difference in the two plastics though. The S-line wasn't quite as overstable as the C-line. But if you release them on an ante, as you can see there, it'll hold it. It fights out at the end, but it holds that ante a little bit longer than the anchor did. If you throw it flat, it's going to be very straight, like you can see there, and it'll fade out at the end a little bit. And on a hyzer, you might be able to get it to flip up depending on your arm speed, but it'll probably hyzer out at the end. Into the headwind, it did all right. Anything super stiff, I probably wouldn't throw it, but just a slight or moderate headwind would probably be all right.
All right, the anchor is a stable MIDI. Throw it into a headwind, it's gonna fight it. There, that one turned, but I threw a really good ante on it. But I think it didn't show at the end, but it does fade out. You throw it on an ante into a headwind, it will typically fade out. I'd say some of the slower arms I probably wouldn't throw something like this. It's pretty stable. Like Brad said, the bead, it doesn't affect the grip at all. For me, it's I think it'd be a great disc to play the skip, actually, because you can't see it, but you could get some good skips with this because it is that stable. I think it's a 3 fade, which I totally agree with. If you put some air under it, it definitely will dump on you. Forehand, I can't forehand this, guys. I'm sorry for these crappy forehands, but that bead just was messing with my knuckle. MD3. Only thing I disagree with the numbers is the fade of 3. This disc is much straighter than the anchor. I don't want to say they're two different discs stability wise, but it just seemed like I was getting a lot more glide, and this thing would just travel so straight for me. As you can tell, it just keeps going. had really good glide for a midi. The anchor, it was dumping out early, where this one just kept going. So really, for a good arm, you could hyzer flip this disc to flat, maybe a little bit of turn, but it'll fade out for you. It's a good slightly overstable mid-range. The C line was a wee bit more stable for me, but you throw it onto a hyzer, it rides that hyzer. You throw a flat line, it turns, and it'll dump, as you can see. I think S line, great feeling plastic, a little bit less stable, so you can see it turns a little bit more, but it ends up fading at the end. Headwind, tailwind, it doesn't matter. This disc, it goes far. On to the forehands. Didn't have a great day, but you can kind of see that you can hyzer flip them and they'll ride straight, still end up fading. That one landed flat, just kind of scooted its way down the fairway or football field. You can also throw it on an Annie and it'll just keep riding. I mean, these things have great glide.
All right, on to the recap. Trav, what'd you think about these midis?
They were great. Two different midis, honestly. I thought just flight-wise, anchor, super stable, MD3, very straight. What would I choose? The anchor, just because of the way it felt and everything, it's getting the curb. It's getting kicked to the curb. I'm going with the MD3. Both of these plastics are great. Good clean releases, super straight, feels great in the hand. Pretty much everything the anchor isn't. The anchor probably would fit perfectly in someone's bag, but I just didn't like the grip. I didn't like the feel of it, especially forehand, and it just dumps. No glide at all. But yeah, that's what I have to say. You?
So I like the MD3 a little bit better, and there's a very good chance that this will end up in my bag. But I think I'm also going to be testing out the anchor a little bit more, because I think it might replace my Buzz OS. The more I throw the Buzz OS, the less comfortable it is. And the anchor is a little bit more comfortable. Like we kind of said, that big bead, I thought for sure that I wouldn't like it. And at first when I picked it up, I didn't like it. But it actually, it's big enough that it just kind of feels like it's just part of the rim and not a bead. So there's a chance that both of them end up in my bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like them both.
Sorry to stop you. I'm probably not going to bag either of these discs. The MD3 feels exactly like my Verdict and throws just like my Verdict, so I'm just going to stick with what I know, and I'm going to stick with the Verdict. But great disc. Didn't mean to knock on the anchor. The grip's fine, I guess, but it just wasn't for me.
Cool.
So like, subscribe. We've got an Instagram like that. We're putting up pictures of us editing, just a little behind the scenes stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, a little bit of like some previews of what the following week or the future videos will be. So we'll probably do giveaways on that as a separate thing also. So you'll probably want to check that out. The link will be at the end of the video. And thanks for watching.